Okay, so next we have, we're going to have Megan, and Megan, I'm going to butcher your name. I'm sorry. Uotila, from
Uotila.
ClassLink, who's going to share with us. We're super excited because you guys are on the front lines with everybody else in the 50% of all districts nationwide who've joined the fray in short order. So expecting great stories from you. Megan, did I say your last name right?
Uotila, you said it perfectly fine.
Oh, yay. Okay, great.
Yeah.
All right. Well, let's hear from you and your stories and what's going on, because I know you guys have so much to say. We probably can't fit it all in this short lunch and learn, but you go. I'm going to put myself on mute for now.
All right, fantastic. Well, I really appreciate the opportunity to be here today and to talk about ClassLink and some of the things that have been going on here the past year. So as all of our customers and every one of you was challenged this past year, ClassLink was also challenged, evolving and coming up with creative and innovative ways to better support our customers as they transitioned back and forth between remote learning and really needing to lean in on a platform like ClassLink to provide simplicity and to provide efficiency to their schools and their students and the teachers that they support. Because now with what's going on, ClassLink is a need. You need something like this. If you don't have it, you need something like it, because you have to be able to deliver instructional content seamlessly. You need the simplicity of having everything live in one portal, and you really need to now maintain this growing bank of digital resources that you're offering. You need easy maintenance for rostering and things like that. So I thought I'd talk with you guys a little bit about our platform. I'm sure we have some customers on the line, what's changed and what you should be using, and kind of talk about some of the things that we're doing looking forward to this year. So quickly, I just wanted to share briefly some of the new customers that we've brought on board in the Carolinas, because that's who we have on the call today. So, we had a lot of new customers join the ClassLink family last year in North Carolina, specifically a lot in North Carolina because of our integration with NC Cloud and some of the simplicity that we provide to North Carolina LEAs when managing multiple different portals and the struggles there. We really have a solution that fits that niche that they need. And then also, South Carolina, slow and steady, bringing on new school districts there. And, we have a lot more that we need to update this slide as well. A new one that just started their implementation today, Kershaw County. So lots of exciting work that we've done in the past year. But for those that aren't familiar with who we are, let me just do a quick explanation of ClassLink and what our company does as a whole. So you can see a lot of different boxes here because we touch a lot of different departments and do different things. Specifically, and what we're most known for is single sign-on and true single sign-on, where you open your device, whatever it may be, Windows device, Chromebook, iPads, Macs, whatever, and you authenticate one time into that device. So you log into that device, and you can even log in with one of these, a QR code with ClassLink, and that is all. There's not, we're going to log into the device, and then we're going to log in over here, and then we've got these resources that exist in another portal over here. With ClassLink, everything is integrated into a single experience. So everything lives on that device, and after that initial login with a QR code or with your network credentials, what you already know, you have an environment that houses everything. And for all of the North Carolina districts, LEAs listening today, that's NC Cloud. If you're using Clever can live in there. Whatever resources you're using will be in a single experience. So there's no longer a nesting of portals or different pages that you're visiting or different teachers doing their own thing. And some stuff's going on in Canvas over here or your LMS, and all of that kind of disjointed stuff that can happen without a tool like ClassLink is eliminated. One single portal and all access funnels through that portal. It's for your students, it's for your staff, it's for your parents, it's for anybody with a digital footprint has ClassLink. And then we take it one step further and we support you with the necessary data analytics to have a solid understanding of how these resources are being used. And we're tracking all of the activity within these portals. So how long, and I use Canvas for an example because it's widely used in North Carolina in this example, because we have several North Carolina districts, but how long were they logging into Canvas? How active were they in Canvas? Where you can actually see engagement reports and say, that little Johnny spent 45 minutes in Canvas, and then he spent, an hour in iStation and 30 minutes in iExcel, and that was what he needed to be engaged in this today, and the teacher can see that, and administration can see that. And so not only that your students and staff are accessing the resources that they need, but also they're engaged in those resources and tracking those engagements. And so we have algorithms that can do that for you. This has been really helpful with COVID-19 and providing that accountability data that you need. But then it also historically has helped with things like, are we getting a return on investment for, Mickey Mouse math? I make something up because we have hundreds of partners. Mickey Mouse math, costs all this money and we don't have the usage just isn't there. And also professional development. We need to be using Mickey Mouse math because it's imperative to, what we're trying to do here. And we've got these teachers that aren't using it. And so our analytics can help really give you an idea of who's using what and how often. We have some tools for any of our technology department folks on the call today. We have tools that automate your rostering. We use open data standards with the one roster open data standard. The architecture of the system is different than some of the competitors out there. It really lends itself to data privacy and security when it comes to where your data is housed. It's housed on its own isolated roster server. It's not housed on ClassLink's servers. So it's safe, it's secure, it's supporting open data standards, and it's extremely simple to use. So we can also pick up a lot of your rostering, and rostering with ClassLink and one roster is free to the partners. So we can pick up a lot more of your rostering because it's a lot easier to bring on these partners and these integrations because we're not charging them for that integration. So that's some differentiators with how ClassLink will help you with rostering. We also have the direct PowerSchool integration because I know everyone's using PowerSchool that's on this call today. So we have leveraged the API from PowerSchool, and it's quick and simple and easy. And you have you have support, a team that helps you with your rostering that you can call, and they can jump in and help you every step of the way. So the customer service you get with your rostering, big differentiator with ClassLink and some of the competitors out there. And then we also will help you with identity management. So creating and maintaining your Active Directories, your Google directory, and your Azure directory. We have an extremely simple tool that automates that for you. So as you're looking at remote learning and you're looking at these huge libraries of digital resources and you're thinking, gosh, I really need to streamline the delivery of this content and provide single sign-on, so we're not jumping around and distributing credentials or URLs. We need simplicity. This will help with that, and then also maintaining that library of applications. Getting them their rosters quickly and simply, and just very much a fix it and forget it type system. We do that here for you as well, and then we also give you that customer support that you need. Make a phone call and have someone pick up on the other end and help you out. So that's really what ClassLink can do. We also have some community facing features as well, a parent portal for parent engagement, and also a public portal for communicating with the general community. So logging into ClassLink is quite simple. As I mentioned, often this will happen at the device level. So you're logging into that device and that's your authentication. Just know we support multiple different ways to access the platform. It's just typically the credentials that they already know. So their AD or their Google credentials, or of course, that QR code that I mentioned, facial recognition. etc. Lots of different ways. We also support two-factor. So you're thinking, gosh, one login opens everything. Just know we have multiple ways to two-factor into the system. And then you can set it up for different profiles. You might have a student logging in with a quick card that has a rotating list of pictures, and they know I QR code into ClassLink, but then I know that I'm the sailboat, and that can get, a second grader into ClassLink safely and securely, still while relying on these, which might get misplaced or whatever. So ClassLink has more single sign-on connectors than anybody in the marketplace, to our knowledge. We have over 6,000 built. We will custom create whatever you need. As I mentioned, we're free to the partners and platform providers. So it's, we have all these integration methods, and essentially every single digital destination, whether it's an education application, whether it's a non-education application, should live within these portals. Hundreds and hundreds of resources for your LEA or your school district will be housed here. And why we can support all of those different digital destinations and single sign-on into those destinations is we federate, and we have the technical capacity to support over 9 different single sign-on authentication methods. So again, this is an alphabet soup of different methodologies. Not your problem, ClassLink's problem. We build them, we set them up. You just tell us what you need, and they appear. And it's really simple. So if you really want to, and I know, the particular LEA that just presented has a very large technical team. If you wanted to go in and create your own SAML connectors, we have, a SAML console, and you can, but we can do it for you and make it really, really simple. And in an age where we need simplicity, it is now more so than ever before. So I want to show you quickly what ClassLink looks like, so you can at least get kind of a look and feel today of what this is and how it compares to some of the systems that you're using. So we go in and we custom design, an experience for you. You can call ClassLink whatever you want. You don't have to call it ClassLink. Wake County, which I just showed because with some of the North Carolina districts here today, they call it Wake ID. Why do they call it that? Because they had a system called Wake ID, and it just made sense. But you can call it whatever you want, and we'll kind of come up with some branding for you, logo, colors. The whole system can be reflective of your unique, branding and culture that you have within your LEA or district. We don't need to take any ownership of it. You call it what you want and make it look like however you want. But again, the workflow here is you open your device, you sign in with the QR code or your network credential, and then that will take you to your page of resources that is reflective of what you need. So as we're rostering, so we're pulling data from PowerSchool, and as we're rostering into all of your different applications, those icons are auto appearing magically onto the pages of the individuals that need them. And then we're federating that single sign-on behind the scenes. So you shouldn't be in a situation where you have to go and set up the single sign-on connector the first time. We know that, this student in this building in this grade needs iStation, and when they click on iStation, we federate and log them in. For the North Carolina LEAs, your NC Ed Cloud can live in here, and we can federate into NC Ed Cloud. If you're a Clever district and you've got all this Clever stuff set up, know that you don't have to completely get rid of Clever to add ClassLink. We can federate into Clever and deep link you through that platform. But there isn't a nesting of portals. If you click on a Clever application, it will take you directly to IXL, for example, and your end user doesn't know the difference. So again, it's seamless, it's easy, you open it up and off you go. As I mentioned too, we can also house non-education applications. So all of your HR resources can appear to your teachers. You might have lunch menus, bus schedules, whatever you need. We have the ability to open Windows applications here if they're on, through an RDP session, if they're on a terminal server. somewhere there. So we can host, like, you know, you can open up Word on a Chromebook. So we have a lot of different capacity here to support you, and you come to us with the list of what you need, and we work with you to create your vision. We also have libraries where you can go in and personalize what appears here as an individual. So I may want to personalize my ClassLink experience as a teacher. I have these libraries of available content. The district or LEA has complete control over what appears in these libraries. You can curate the libraries of applications that have been vetted and populate and personalize your own ClassLink experience. But any application, any link, any single sign-on connector can be created, and we will create it for you within 24 to 48 hours. So as you can imagine, the simplicity of having everything in one spot and just the ease and alleviating a lot of the hassles of delivering content and using different portals, you know, all of that's resolved with ClassLink. So that's one piece, is one click, not multiple clicks, just one click in and in you go to what you need. A second piece that has been really critical is getting teachers better control over the student experience and giving teachers other ways to engage with students. Because this, you know, they're not always in the classroom setting now, and we're leaning in on these virtual schools. You know, my sons, I'm a North Carolina resident, my sons are in the virtual school. And, you know, their teachers really need more ways to engage with students. And they also need more control. They need control over these portals to a certain degree. And that's why we created My Backpack. My Backpack is a tool that's built on the foundation of Roster Server. So we know, we can see, you know, we're building this on PowerSchool data essentially. So we know where that student or that staff member is at in the course of their day. We can see their schedule. We can organize their single sign-on connectors right next to their particular classes that they need them. So we know you need Canvas in these classes, and we know you need this particular tool for, you know, these particular programs. So we can organize the single sign-on connectors next to the class. If a teacher student opens the class, there's other opportunities for engagement. So we're by no means replacing an LMS, but we're giving them a little bit more control here. So if they want to use this to post announcements, they can see all of the applications that have been rostered per that class and student per that class here, and they can assign and push out different applications. So I could add a link to my PowerPoint. I could add, you know, links to various different Google Docs, survey, a great study, a great article that I found that's supplemental to what we're doing today. And so they can see here and have access to those resources that the students have access to and add to them. There's discussion boards that they can leverage. They can see their students and regenerate those quick cards if the student loses a quick card, or they can reset their login into ClassLink if the student forgot their AD credential. So there's a lot of ways that we give teachers the ability to troubleshoot and again, give them back that instructional time that can be lost with all of these time-consuming tech issues that just inevitably occur. They can see when the students have logged into ClassLink. So again, I'm looking at this week and, you know, this is my virtual school, and let's say it's Sunday and Brendan hasn't logged in at all. Well, we really need to reach out to Brendan to figure out what's going on at home and why he hasn't logged in. Or mom and dad saw Brendan sitting there at the computer and they just assumed that Brendan was doing all of his virtual schoolwork. And well, lo and behold, Brendan was on the computer, but he did not log into ClassLink. And not only did he not log into ClassLink, but you can see not only his logins, but his activity. And, you know, he didn't spend any time in his resources. So we can also track how long these students were active and engaged in the various resources within ClassLink and how long. So, you know, again, using this example, let's find one here. You know, the activity for that day for Tuesday was they needed to spend time in Canvas. They needed to do an activity in Reading Plus, and they had another activity in iReady. And this teacher at a glance can look at her entire class roster and make sure that her students are spending his or her students are spending the allocated time in those resources. So we have these heat maps incorporated throughout our entire platform. This is just one example where it can provide you with a cue, a visual cue of, you know, how long these students are engaged and what they're engaged in. But you can also see these heat maps for your teachers, and you can look at what your teachers are using and how long are they engaged. And you might look with teacher engagement within a single application. So again, lots of tools to help set you up for success. So I'm going to switch gears here and talk about a tool we have called My Files. And what this does is this pulls together all of your file storage locations as well and consolidates them into one view. So you can see files stored on a network server, you can see files stored in a Google Drive, or if you're using OneDrive or Office 365. And it just is very helpful when working across different file storage platforms to have everything in one space and easy visibility and the ability to move files between different locations. And so this is also a nice tool, again, pulling that file storage, again, into ClassLink, into this, you know, portal where you have one place to access everything. And of course, the district or LEA can determine which storage locations they approve for their schools. So talking a little bit more about analytics, let's take a look here at the analytics that you'll see as a district or as an LEA. So this is gathering all of the data from all of the activity within your ClassLink portals. Who's logged into what, who's clicked on what, how long they're engaged in these resources. We've got those algorithms written that are processing time on task. And here I can look at this dashboard and at a glance, I can see all of this activity in real time. That student clicks, it shows up. This data is coming from an existing customer, a very large district in Florida. They've been a longtime customer of ClassLink, so you can really kind of see what's going on there. We've obviously anonymized any student data, so it can give you a general idea of what this could look like. So at a glance, I can see their logins this week. I can see their historical data this year compared to years past. I can see that they have over 5,500 application and web links being offered through their portal. And so just to give you an idea of how inclusive ClassLink can be, I mean, 5,500 different links and resources. I mean, granted, this is a school district of over 200,000 students and teachers, but that's a lot of integrations, and they're getting data on every single one of those integrations, and the data is uniform. So if it's a paid resource or a free resource, it matches, right? So we're pulling uniform data so you can really get in and do comparisons between the applications that you're purchasing. And here, for example, we'll use Canvas again because it's quite popular in these regions. So Canvas has been launched 2 million times. This was just last week. They spent 32,000 hours in Canvas, and every time they launch Canvas, on average, they're spending about 28 minutes. But imagine being able to look at your publishers one next to another. Let's look at HMH compared to McGraw-Hill. Let's do some comparisons on how these are being used. If I open Canvas, I can also see activity within Canvas. So I can see my staff use compared to my student use. I can see their time spent in the different resources. I can look at all my different buildings and how my different buildings are using Canvas, one compared to the next. I can identify my teachers that are using Canvas the most. You could leverage that for professional development. We really leaned in heavily in Canvas in my children's district this year. They're in Union County, and we leaned in heavily. And so you really need to identify what teachers are really your Canvas champions, and then leverage that to help other teachers along. Again, we have those heat maps. And again, this data has been anonymized, so I don't have anything here for you to see. But imagine being able to filter just for all your teachers, you know that you're putting teachers through Canvas professional development on Monday. So those heat maps will be here, 5 hours, 4 hours, 3 hours that they're spending in Canvas. And then you can track your teachers on subsequent days and track their Canvas use on those subsequent days and see who's accelerating, who's kind of plateaued, and the teachers that are faltering and need more PD, you can identify that. I can look at individual buildings and usage within a building. I can compare my different schools side by side. I can see how often they're logging in, what they're logging into, and I can look at their numbers one right next to the other. We also, again, have those heat maps built in. So, we had a great example earlier of, different buildings needing different things and struggling and issues with Wi-Fi and needing hotspots. And imagine looking at all your different buildings and saying, wow, this building in the city center is at 100% use every day into ClassLink, 100% logins. But we have another building that's in a more rural area that we know is having issues with equity and with Wi-Fi, and they're struggling. And we need to allocate funds disproportionately to this building, and you can get the data to do that. And then, of course, not only are they logging in at a lesser rate, but how much time are they spending in the applications within ClassLink as well? So their engagement within those resources, how does that compare? And here, for example, you might have a building that has, 900 hours. One elementary school spent 900 hours in their different digital resources. And then the elementary school, in the other town only spent 150 hours. So you can have this data and really get a solid understanding of what's going on. And then finally, we have these cost calculators built into ClassLink where you can plug in how much you're paying for the individual resources that you're subscribing to, how many licenses you've purchased, and we'll run some numbers for you. And these numbers can be very enlightening. They might be scary, they might be thrilling, but at least you'll know how many unique logins do you have compared to your licensed users, and how much are you actually paying for a resource? So you might have, 5,000 applications, but you only have 120 consistent unique users, and you're actually paying through the roof for something that's not being used. And we've seen things a lot scarier than that, where you might have, 10 unique users, and it's very hard to get this data otherwise without a tool like this. And ClassLink can provide that to you. So I'm going to pause here and see if there are any questions.
Okay, I'm checking for questions, seeing if anybody wants to ask you anything. I know we're hearing from a lot of districts that the move to go virtual didn't necessarily include single sign-on right out of the gate. They tried to do everything with Google Docs or, quickly buying an LMS. What's your take on that? Because in our experience, the average teacher has 30 some apps.
Mm-hmm.
So what would have been happening in those districts as they tried to go, to remote learning when they didn't have something like this? What have you heard?
Often LMSs try to be the panacea for remote learning. They try, but the truth is, they are great at what they do. They are not great often at single sign-on. They're just not. You can't be the master of all things. And that's really where ClassLink can come in and shine, because we can give you instant access to all the greatness that each one of these applications provides, right? And then you can go back and we'll integrate with anything. It won't be a situation where you're trying to build into Canvas certain functionality that just doesn't, it doesn't work right. And I can tell you, because as a parent, I experienced it, just helping with remote learning. And it was really challenging, having, to rely on NC Cloud for some things and Clever for some things. And then the integration, wasn't particularly great. But then I had another portal for another page that I went to for other things. And it just, you really kind of need that seamless environment, and you need something that's inclusive and can house all. You know, ClassLink isn't going to jump into the LMS space. We're just going to deliver you that content quickly and efficiently, and that's our wheelhouse.
Yeah, I totally agree, and I think it's almost like an easy button that and we all know schools and districts need that right now more than anything else. I mean, in other words, Megan, the tech has to be very sophisticated in order for it to be easy to direct attention to learning on the front end. Otherwise, you spend half an hour, okay, click on this. Oh, you mean you can't find it? And then the teacher's off helping every single individual kid. No learning occurs. I mean, it's almost ridiculous. So well, listen, thank
Or
you
you
so
get the
much.
email with the credential. Yeah. You're welcome. Thank you. It's always a pleasure and a privilege to be able to chat with everyone and see you guys once a year when you make it to my territories, and it's just great seeing your face and seeing everybody. So
Yeah.
Have a great day.
Yeah, well, stay tuned. Don't go anywhere because we want you to be raising your hand and making your own comments. You see things in the field just as much as we do. So, hang on if you can.
Oh, I will. Absolutely.
All right. Thank you.